Changing the landscape for the treatment of migraines. Should 18-year-old males freeze their sperm? And yet another reason why exercise is good for you. This is Carolina's Healthcare System Network News. For migraine headache sufferers, there's a new class of drugs now being tested that may change the landscape for treatment. Over 37 million people suffer from these oftentimes debilitating headaches, and for 2 to 3 million sufferers, they're chronic. Women suffer from them more than men, and they usually occur during their working years.
I have been a kindergarten teacher for the past 11 years, and I have been dealing with migraines for over 20 years. They're hard to deal with. Migraines are frustrating because you'll plan something and then you'll have to cancel because they can be debilitating.
More and more, it's becoming clear that the migraine attack itself is due to what they now refer to as a neurovascular phenomenon, and that the migraine is felt to now probably start in the brain itself, and then that ends up basically setting off sort of abnormal discharges, which then create the whole aspect of migraines.
Currently, the only course of action is to methodically work through a long list of existing drugs. And if those don't work, it's on to more complex and expensive therapy options.
One treatment involves abortive therapy. So these are medications you would take to get rid of the headache, get rid of the attack when it occurs. The other category of medicine we use for migraine typically are the preventatives. If the headaches are resistant to the abortive therapies, we will sometimes put them on a daily drug to try to reduce the number of headaches that they're having. Right now, we have no cure for migraine. The preventatives would be, in a sense, the closest thing to trying to cure them, in the sense that we are trying to substantially reduce the number of attacks somebody has.
But phase 2 trials of some promising new drugs have begun.
I think this new class of drug looks to be very promising. The data on the efficacy looks great. I think this class of drug is helpful and unique in the sense that it is targeting something completely different than we have ever looked at with migraine.
I'm very excited that there are some new migraine medications coming out. I think it's time that there's a change in what's used to treat migraines, and I'm excited to see what happens. Dr. Bodner has given me my life back. I don't have headaches every day. I was having headaches on average of 20 days a month, and now I range from 5 to 7 days a month.
Should 18-year-old males freeze their sperm? It may sound far-fetched, but some young women are considering freezing their eggs in order to take a bit of the pressure off of having a child early when eggs are most viable. Is this an idea men should seriously consider as well?
No, I don't think it's a crazy idea, but I do not believe that it is really necessarily indicated to do it. In an otherwise healthy young man, there should be not a lot of concern about the future reproduction unless there are other medical things that are involved. For instance, individuals who may be going through cancer chemotherapy, they need to have their sperm frozen before they embark upon that, because that will result, in some cases, in sterility.
But there are some external factors that could impact sperm quality to keep in mind.
Some of the most simple things would involve, for instance, cigarette smoking, or various recreational drug use, or even some medications that men take. But in addition, we know that radiation, environmental influences with heavy metals, agents from tailpipes that include sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, all of this would have a potential implication.
And while a number of studies have shown some neurological disorders in children may be linked to delayed fatherhood, freezing sperm should not be a common practice.
I do not believe that, as a general policy, young men need to be concerned about this to where they would come in and routinely freeze their sperm for the future.
You pound that pavement. You sweat through a gym workout. You do lap after lap in the pool. And with each stride, burpee, and stroke you take, you remind yourself how good exercise is for you. You're keeping heart disease, diabetes, and obesity at bay. But here's one more element to consider. That exercise may actually decrease your chances of getting cancer and also slow the growth rate of tumors. That's the conclusion of a recent animal study. Researchers found that training mice regularly on a wheel decreased the growth of multiple types of tumors, such as skin, liver, and lung cancers. And the mice that exercised regularly had a smaller chance of developing cancer in the first place. The researchers identified several factors behind the anti-tumor effects of exercise. They are linked to the release of the hormone adrenaline that's central to the fight or flight response. Adrenaline is known to be stimulated by exercise, and adrenaline also mobilizes a particular immune cell called a natural killer cell that patrols the body, looking for tumors and either slowing or completely preventing their growth. So, while this was just an animal study, there is a lesson here for us humans. Keep huffing and puffing with that exercise, because you're killing it.